You doing?
I'm blessed, and you?
I'm good.
It's always good to see you with your, fiery red hair. It's got some pink in there as well. Hey.
Well, representing everything red. It's a
I like
Vodafone
that.
kind of music award, so I'm staying on brand.
That's true.
Yeah, pledging allegiance and giving physical character to everything that's happening by letting my head look the color of the VGMAs.
That's it. That's it. All right, head of communications, indeed. We feel it 100%. Now, I'd like for you to help us go through, the process of putting the nominations list together, just to help people understand fully how these things go.
Well, that's actually a lot of work. Let me just start with that so that people can understand that it's a lot of work, and it happens over a period of a minimum 2 to 2 months, minimum. What happens, we start off with call for entries. That's the beginning, where we are asking artist managers, producers, people within the stakeholders within the music space to submit entries. And we do that by asking them to submit via our portal on the internet. That is supposed to help us get information and data on the music that is coming through, who did what,
Right.
who mastered what, who did the mixing, that kind of stuff, who produced the song, to be able to get information. In addition to that, it offers us the opportunity to get their consent in terms of I've given you the rights to be able to work with my image and my song, because when you're doing all the promotional activities, you end up using these elements, and you ought to be able to get their consent, giving. Once that is done, or when that is going on, the other thing we do is to engage our researchers to be able to give us information. So research happens in various fields. There are people on the grounds who give us information in terms of what songs are banging within the regions, etc., and on the grounds. The grounds, because music consumption in this country is not just what is played on air, it's not just what is streamed, and there are people who are consuming music on the grounds, like at the pubs, the parties, the weddings. Basically, you want to be able to know what's happening. So you talk to folks within the various regions and get a fair sense of what is banging out there. And when you do that, you also deal with the OAPs, as on-air personalities across the nation. They also give us information. You deal with some of the academy members. We have academy members across the country, so some of them also give us information.
What kind of information are you looking for?
So basically, what song is happening, and because the song is a popularity-based award scheme, we want to know what is popular out there. And then, there are other categories that are not really about popularity. It's about the technical aspect. So that we also gather based on the submissions that come through, and then those are also classified and reviewed. So all of these platforms are used on air, play, because we also use some of the softwares that are able to determine the frequency of music played within the various regions, dominance within the various regions, and then we also have the streaming numbers that come through. So who's performing well, the YouTube platforms, the DSPs, like the the Audio Mac, the Boom Play, etc. You gather all of these things. So all of these things give us like wealth of music, like loads of them, and then the secretariat begins to work. Now, as this is ongoing, we also have a committee of experts that we meet, and they also give us feedback in terms of, based on their position, what they do within the space, what is happening. They also share with us, who's done well.
So there are various teams at the same time working.
Yeah, the reason is also because the award scheme is not looking at only popular songs. We are looking at artists who've also worked. So you want to be able to get some amount of data as well on who's done works, shows played here and there. So you are able to gather that information as well. So when you have all of these things, then the secretariat begins a process of classification and preparation of the list so that they can present them to the board. So all of these things are done. One of the things that goes into this is the fact checking. So for example, we always look at the year under review is a year before. So 1st January to 31st of December. So the songs that have been released, have been submitted. Is it within that particular period? We have to be sure so we can clear them out, drop the chaff off, and then present, the finest all the way to the finest to the board. The board will now have a series of meetings, use the operational definitions to be able to ensure that the classifications that we have done are appropriate, listen to the songs. There are technical aspects of the awards, so they listen to them, and then they use all the technical instruments to determine this is it and this is not it. Then they use that as a basis to do their cutting. Then you go to the popular aspect of the popularity aspect, which is the songs, how they are faring. So it goes back to on-air play and dominance within regions. You're looking at the streaming numbers. You're looking at the research with respect to the street's popularity. You're also looking at, basically all the elements. Yeah. And then you use that to determine that as well. And then you begin to weigh. And then there's also the artistry, which goes beyond the songs. You want to know what the artist is also doing within the music space. So when they put all of these things together, it helps us to determine who should make the cut for artist categories. So as in if it's maybe Afropop Artist of the Year. So it helps us to determine who is a good fit for that.
Because of all the technicalities that
exactly. And then you go to the technical aspects like Record of the Year or male vocalist or female vocalist or that kind of stuff. Then you're able to determine that as well. And then the popular aspects too. So we're able to determine who is a good fit for each of these categories. Now, you may have 12, 13, 15, 20.
Yes.
But
how do we come down to the final 8 6s?
Yeah, so it's a combination of everything that I've said, and then you rank them based on who's got the most points. And then you use that as a basis to cut down.
So do you determine at any point that within this category it should be 8 people, within this category it should be 12 people?
Yeah. So some categories are 8, some categories are 10, some categories are 6. So for example, Artist of the Year, it's 6. And
why is it just 6 when there are so many other artists as well?
Okay, so let's put it this way. Artist of the Year is overall artist. Like you're the flag bearer of the scheme. It must be we must be 100% sure that this particular person deserves to be there. Now, when we say deserve to be there, we're not talking about effort. Because once you are placed in the category, you could be the winner. Right. So if, for example, it's ranked and you are number 8, because we are opening it up to 8 people, and you are in that category, what if you end up winning? Right. Everybody's going to go back and go like, nah, this guy shouldn't have won. Okay, if the guy shouldn't have won, let's not even put the guy there in the first place.
I see what you're saying.
So there are conversations that's going on. You might just be surprised next year. Even a 6 guy, we get 6.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because, again, it depends on what you are doing within the period.
Exactly.
Within this year
anybody could win. So it has to be that person that when the person wins, it's because they actually deserve it. They've done the work. Their songs are banging. Their artistry is on top. And we are confident that these folks represent who the brand is for the year under review. Right.
Okay. So you've said something very interesting, and it leads me to my next question, which is about Kofi Kinata. Yes, indeed, there were tweets and so on and so forth. There were posts on Insta as well talking about how they thought Kofi Kinata should have been placed in the Artist of the Year category. We all know how Kofi Kinata works as well. And then there was that of Fameye as well, and his song was buzzing everywhere. Praise the Lord. I mean, we're all singing it. We remember it today. Why isn't he in that category as well?
So I've heard that not just for these 2 artists. I've heard for Jackie. I've heard for Mr. Drew. I've heard for D Black. I had for a couple of.
They've
folks.
had some bagging songs.
So no, not bagging songs. Like people have asked why their names are not in there.
In there, exactly.
So hopefully this explanation should be able to cover each one of them.
Okay.
So the entry level requirements for you to participate in the Artist of the Year category is that you must have a song, a hit song, an album stroke EP. Okay. And then you must have had multiple nominations in the scheme.
Okay, multiple nominations meaning in various categories.
Yeah, like you have more than 1 nomination.
Right.
Yeah. So now once you have these, you have qualified to be considered as an Artist of the Year. Right. So now that you've qualified, and based on this description alone, you realize that a lot of people qualified. Good. Now a lot of them have qualified, but who makes the top 6? Then you begin to look at other things. Okay, so everybody's qualified, but let's begin to check. Let's go to the streams. Okay. Who got the most streams? Okay. What did they do last year? You want to be able to understand the space. Right. Then you go into areas like performances. Right. Then you go into areas like own shows, like headlined shows. So even the shows, are they shows that were for free? Right. Or they are shows that were paid for?
And do the numbers also count?
Exactly, because then how big was it? How huge was it? Of course, if I filled a room made up of only 50 people or 100 people, you cannot compare that to somebody filling
full stadium.
Exactly, difference is clear. You know, what goes into it, Capo, is not small. You know, so essentially, you want to be able to look at that. You want to be able to look at the dominance on air, and then regional dominance, and those who are able to cross. You also want to be able to look at things like, you know, international relevance and crossing over and all of that. So by the time, and this is not all, like they keep, so it keeps adding until we are able to find that particular 6 that are supposed to be there. So it's not like these guys didn't do well, they've done well.
Yeah.
It's not like they didn't fulfill some of these things, they fulfilled some of these things. But then when you weight each one of them, which I don't have all the details here to be able to clearly say, okay, the person did this, you know. But they weight all of these elements, and then based on that, they choose the top 6.
Okay.
You understand? So those of you listening, once and again, your artists that you're crying for, I understand you. They did extremely well. Unfortunately, not everybody makes the list, and that's the reason why they are not there. But that's not to say that they don't deserve to be there. Right. Yes, unfortunately, only 6 can make it, so that's why we have to go with the 6.
All right. I found something very interesting. People also talking about Joe Mettle being on there. Some were asking why he should be in that category in the first place. But I believe that your explanation
it
covers it as well.
Yeah.
You know, with the various factors that go into this also.
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking about song or album, or, you know, he has all of this. So entry-level elements. And then you go into the other things. And then, you know, he ticks the boxes.
I see.
And that's the reason why he happens to be there. I think a lot of people don't also understand what happens within the music space when it comes to gospel.
Tell me more.
Yeah, because, you know, when it comes to gospel consumption, it's not like you know, there are people who are consuming music every week. And, well, not even every week. It's the consumption of music is not just listening, it's being immersed in it as well.
Right.
And
the worship music, the praise music.
All
it's
of that.
Active part of everybody's day. Not everyone, but you get what I mean.
And then you can just check on it. How many folks are Christians in this country? Like 18 million, based on the statistics and stuff like that. So you know, even if they are half of that are active Christians, that tells you what they are consuming. And so when it comes to gospel music, I think people should just, you know, look at it with a different eye.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you may not hear them being played regularly on radio, like we hear all the secular songs being played, but
the streaming is also going down.
Streaming is also going down. The consumption within their space is also going down. And then the gospel music platforms, like the radio stations, also have their own plays that they do. And it also goes down. So, yeah, those are also heavy. So these guys cannot be disenfranchised.
That's true. I like that you said that, and I think it's about time people just accepted gospel music as what it is, you know, and it also has an equal chance of getting in the top spots. Now, Sister Fia had something to say about, you know, her thinking that these things are just, you know, all about money, you know, it's more like a money-making venture, VGMAs, you know, so why should people still keep voting? Shouldn't it just be an awarded thing? So you think one particular person deserves this spot, so you award the person for being number 1. Why should voting even count in the first place?
Okay, so there are different sides to this. Every award scheme and how it decides its operations to be like. So the VGMA, different from, let's say, the Grammys, has different rules of operation for operation. The Grammys, 11,000 plus folks, Academy responsible for deciding who the winner is, and they go heavily on album, and then they focus on quality works done, and then they determine, you know, album of the year, song of the year, etc., new artist of the year, and culminating it. That is given to you. Nobody does any. It's not, the public does not have a say in it. Now, when you come to American Music Awards, which is even again in the US, the work or who is determined. The voting is what determines who a winner is. So you realize that even there, they have 2 different award schemes and they have 2 different ways of operation. At the VGMAs, we have a hybrid. So there are honorary categories that we have. And these honorary categories, we determine in terms of the board. When I say we, the board is responsible for determining who wins what. Now, there are other categories. So the popularity-based categories is what we have the public playing a role in it. So we have 30% for the board, 30% for the academy, and 40% for the public. And what we are saying is this. It's not really about, yeah, you can call it voting, but what we are saying is, let us hear your voice on this matter. In terms of the people presented, who do you think deserves to be the winner?
Right.
That is all we are asking for. If voting, for example, paid voting is an issue for you, we still want to hear your voice on this matter. Go on to www.ghanamusicawards.com and vote for free, because we still want to hear you. We want to hear your opinion about who deserves to win what, so that it's a collective decision making. It's not just some few people making a decision, you know, because it's a popularity-based award scheme in terms of the, you know, the categories that requires a public input. So that's the nature. So that is how it is. So unfortunately, some categories, yeah, we do that because the board will make the decision, but the other categories that are tickling people, we want to involve the public.
And that makes a lot of sense, absolutely. I mean, I can imagine myself sitting somewhere and thinking I would want one particular artist to be, you know, a winner in a certain category, and that's what I want. But you come and tell me somebody else. So we end up just arguing about things. So why don't I just add my voice to it? And if the person doesn't win, I know I still said something. So that works 100%.
So what happens is that people use a lot of energy to complain and comment, but they don't translate that into
votes.
Exactly.
Now, Robert, can you run us through, you know, this year's calendar? What are we looking at? What are we expecting?
Amazing stuff going to happen. We've already had highlights of the nominees announcement show. Yeah,
very exciting.
That has happened. And right after that, we started off with our VGMA in schools.
Okay.
Amazing
that was launched
stuff.
last year, right?
Yeah, we started off last year, and you know, it's here again this year, and it's going to continue every year. So a few schools are lined up for us to visit. Quite exciting moments when you have artists visiting them and talking to them about how they made it, and showing them the path for them to be able to follow, or idea to be, you know, sewn into their heads about how they can also get their music career going on. But what happens, it's not just about music when they go to the school, it's about the music business. So then they expose them to it, because, you know, music business, if you're doing accounting, you still have a role in it. If you're doing marketing, you can
it's
still
a full business.
It's a full business, complete business. And so the admin part of that also comes to bear. And so when we engage them, it's always awesome. So that is going on. We've done St. Mary's.
Oh, okay.
We've done Laboni as well.
Okay. Did you find any artists?
There are people there. There are young ones out there.
I see.
You know, they are sharpening their skills.
Their skills.
And
That's
you know,
nice.
getting ready for the future. And there are a few more lined up for us to be able to get into. So that's VGMA in schools, and it's going to happen all the way through to the end of this month.
Okay.
And then possibly, let's see how it goes, and then we might just probably cross into other months. After that, we have the unsung.
Sing it.
Yep. The unsung are also going to have their concerts. And
that would be nice.
Yeah, it's going to happen, and it's coming to you live on TV3. So watch out for that as well. And then we are also going to have the nominees jam. Big nominees jam. You know, it's been almost a decade since we went to Koforidua. So we are going back to Koforidua.
Wow, thank God COVID is over.
We're going to that space. It's going to be big, it's going to be huge. And we're asking everybody to come out on Easter Monday to join us, and let's have fun like never before. Artists line up, crazy lineup, and it's going to be mad, it's going to be crazy. So everybody's been invited. If you're listening, if you're in Koforidua, please don't miss out. Okay, so
you can't miss it at all.
At all.
I mean,
yeah. So that's the experience concert. Previously nominees jam, so we are jamming with the nominees, and you know, anybody within the space that can give us the kind of excitement you're looking for. So then we are also going to have a seminar and, you know, touch on some elements of the music business. People need to learn, people need to upgrade, people need to acquire, people need to imbibe, and be able to find ways and means to advance their skill, their career.
So who's that open to?
Oh, it's open to anybody within the space that wants to learn.